Welcome to the St. Matthew's Episcopal Church podcast, coming to you from Northern Virginia. We're so glad you're here. Today, we hope our message inspires you to better know and share God's love. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and join our weekly newsletter, The Friday Flash, to stay updated on all of our events and services. Let's dive in.
O Lord, I am your servant. I am your servant and the child of your handmaid. You have freed me from my bonds. I want to ponder this morning those words from Psalm 116 that we read. And I want to start off by talking about one of my favorite movies, or at least favorite movies that I've seen recently. You can go ahead and I got a picture of the cover. It's called Perfect Day. It's actually, I think, streaming on Hulu now, if anyone's curious. The movie follows a man named Hirayama. He's a middle-aged public toilet cleaner in Tokyo. And we're sort of given a look into his daily routine. He loves, or appears to love his job. He works really hard at it. He loves his collection of old music, which he still keeps on cassette tapes from the 80s and 90s. His other hobbies include nursing tree saplings or taking pictures of what's called komorebi, which is, I guess, the light that shines through trees at different angles. There's like a photography art capturing these rays of sunlight. So he has these extremely relaxing, serene days that we get to see. The movie's great because it's just relaxing watching him go throughout this routine. It can really calm you down. So I recommend it. And all this relaxation, serenity, is despite the fact that every once in a while, Hirayama is reminded of his low social status. A drunk businessman comes in one day while he's cleaning a public toilet and just completely makes a mess of the place as Hirayama is in there scrubbing the toilets. Hirayama's co-workers laugh at him because he does his job so well. They're always telling him it's going to get dirty again anyway. There's one scene where he finds a little girl who's lost in a park where the public toilet is. And he is able to find her mother who is looking for her. And upon reuniting the little girl to her mother, the mother gives him a scowl and pulls out like a little wet wipe, sanitizing wipe, and starts scrubbing her daughter's hands down furiously. And even Hirayama's sister, upon meeting him later in the movie, gives him a look and sort of asks, before she hops into a car driven by her private chauffeur, is it true that you really clean toilets? There's this constant reminding that he is of a low social status, and apparently from the context of his sister, the rest of his family isn't and even disapproves. And yet, Hirayama never lets it get to him. Now, he's got plenty of other issues. Trust me, it's a movie. There is some conflict. It's not boring. But at least when it comes to his job and his social status, it doesn't ever seem to faze him. And he seems to be better off for it. He seems to be able to enjoy the small things in life, those 1980s cassette tapes, those tree saplings. His life is simple and free. Our psalm today also talks about being free. And it does so in a strange sort of way. So if you look at verse 16, or it's verse 14 in what we have. It's actually verse 16 if you pull out any modern Bible. The discrepancy happens because the Book of Common Prayer uses old texts and verse systems for the Psalms. But it says, "O Lord," and I'm gonna kind of insert a better translation here. "O Lord, I am your slave. I am your slave, the son of your slave girl. You have freed me from my bonds." So the psalmist is saying, I'm the least free person that exists, right? Like, not only am I a slave, but I was born into this. I'm the son of a slave. There is no one who is less free than that social status. And yet, he sits here thanking God for freedom. How is this possible? How is it possible to be both a slave and free at the same time? And I like this question because I think it's something the disciples might have had on their minds as they're sitting down with Jesus. Jesus begins to stoop down and wash their feet. And you can imagine them thinking, wait a minute, We are following this guy because he is our master. He is our rabbi, our teacher, and we're saying he's Lord. And throughout the Gospel of John, it's pretty clear that Lord terminology is being used intentionally to equate Jesus with God, the God of the universe. Jesus, you are Lord. You're not supposed to wash our feet. That's not how it works, right? These things are existing at the same time. Jesus is both serving them and is Lord, slave and free at the same time. What is going on? The way to freedom, it seems, or at least that's being communicated to us through John's Gospel, seems to be the exact opposite of what the world wants us to fall into. It's not about being powerful. It's not about being the free individual who gets to do what they want when they want. It's not about climbing some social status hierarchy, popularity contest. It's instead about serving others. One of the reasons I actually really like, the movie's not there. It's okay. No, you don't have to put it back. I was just pointing to it because that's the best for the movie. One of the reasons I also liked that movie and how much it blends into this theme is that if you know anything about the way Japanese work culture is, it is incredibly based on hierarchy. The way that people move through companies in Japan is almost entirely seniority based. And so status anxiety is baked into the culture, and especially the professional culture, in a way that it's quite not here. And I think that connects our modern world in some way to Jesus' time. When reversing these status hierarchies, when thinking about serving someone by washing their feet would have just been so obviously degrading that it would be unthinkable. There's not really a great equivalent in our more, sort of at least democratic inclined culture for this type of thing. But this upending of social statuses in Japan serves actually as a pretty solid example. So going back to the movie, when Hirayama lives this simple life, and he's happy, he cherishes these little moments, he's present, he's fulfilled, he doesn't let the world's expectations dehumanize him, get him down. He doesn't even let it justify slacking off at work or taking a day off, right? He is completely above, he floats above all of that criticism. And that's the sort of freedom that I think service brings us to. It gets us out of the traps that the world has set. It gets us out of the expectations that are put on from outside. Because if we are slaves to God, if God is our master, we don't have others. That's the freedom. The freedom is that we serve one master, the God of the universe. So we don't have to compete for others for recognition or wealth or legacy or whatever. God is more than capable, if he could create the whole world, of providing all of those things for us. When I was in college, there was a pastor at my little college ministry who told a story during a sermon. He told a story about a proposal. I guess it was two people that were in his college ministry. So, young 22, 23-year-olds getting married. And everyone knew they were going to get married. And there was this whole, epic proposal day. I want to say, I might be making this up, I want to say it involved a hike. But whatever it was, there was going to be this epic proposal. The friends are hiding in the bushes with cameras, one of those ready to pop out and take a picture of the moment, right? And so they the big moment comes, and the guy gets down on his knee, and of course, because they've been talking about getting married, his girlfriend kind of knows what's coming, and he gets down, and there's no ring to be seen. And as he gets down on one knee, a friend runs from the bushes with a bowl of water and a towel, and he looks up at her and says, "Can I wash your feet?" And it was this epic, romantic, cue the lights, right? This is like Hallmark movie, everybody's crying, right? And so it was a great story. So there's a guy in my college group who goes, "That's a great idea. I'm going to try that," right? And so the whole thing happens, and I don't know if it was an issue of timing or what exactly went down, but all I know is the story ends with the young woman picking up the bowl and chucking it into the air as she stomps off. So it turns out life's not always like the movies or like the sermons, I guess, right? It doesn't always happen that way. The reason I wanted to tell this story isn't just the link to the foot washing. It's also that it's easy for me to get up here and preach about Hirayama, to preach about Jesus even on Maundy Thursday, to preach about the way we can feel free if we're focused on serving others instead of focusing on the world's status games. But there is a hard side to service. Service is not all good times. It's easy to forget that what happens right after Jesus washes his disciples' feet is he is betrayed by one of the people whose feet he washes. He is tried, falsely convicted for rebellion, and then killed. Service is going to be costly. It's going to cost something. Actually, in our psalm, the word precious, I think, is the word that's used, where it says, the death of God's servants are precious in his eyes. Precious is a bad word there, because we use precious as like, oh, that's cute, or like precious as in like we want something because it's precious. Like Smeagol, right? Like precious, right? That's how we think about it, okay? But the better translation is costly, right? We are of value as servants of God. God is crushed when he loses one of his servants. And I want to point that out because I think that there's this idea of there's cost. There is loss in this. There is a dark side. That's one of the reasons I love the Maundy Thursday service and Good Friday. I love these kind of lead up to Easter services because they allow us time to sit with the hard facts of life, of death, of pain and suffering. Service will involve that. There's going to be times where people are going to say to you, so you're just going to be a doormat? You're just going to let that person walk all over you? You deserve better. You should fight back. Do you really clean toilets? There's going to be times when all of those voices are there trying to convince you to not be a servant. Ultimately, service cost Jesus his life. And as the gospel tells us, or asks of us, are we any greater than our master? O Lord, I am your servant. I am your servant and the child of your handmaid. You have freed me from my bonds.
Amen. Thank you for listening. If you're in the Northern Virginia area, we invite you to join us for worship or any of our events. For directions, service times, and information about our online services, visit stmtts.org. That's stmtts.org. Until next time, go in peace and share God's love.